Hello. This video is going to discuss mapping and some of the tools that you can use to make finding locations in our world easier, not just in general for our class, but also for specific projects that you're going to be doing. Um, so, one of the things that we have to do very commonly in our class is locate where places are in the world, or objects, or artifacts, or things of that nature. The way that we as historians identify locations, or one of the ways that we identify locations, is by using longitude and latitude coordinates. These are referring to the series of lines that you can see which span the length of the world. And the lines which run east to west are called lines of latitude, and then the lines which run north to south are called lines of longitude. Okay? They are numbered as well as identified by one of the cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west. So the lines that are above the equator here, these are the lines of latitude, which are north, and then we have the ones that are south. Okay, we have the east-west lines as well. The east ones, as this map shows us, are on the edges right here, and then the west lines are here in the middle. So anytime we want to find a location, we can always do so by giving its longitude and latitude coordinates. If I wanted to say where is North America, I could point to a spot at 90 degrees west. That's what this little circle symbol next to the numbers is. I can zoom in on that and show you. A little circle symbol there is a degree symbol. So I can say that North America is located at 90 degrees west, 45 degrees north. I could also say any of these other locations, but generally we're looking for small spots when we give these degree locations. You're not always going to have a point or an item or an object or a place that perfectly lines up with one of these lines, for instance. So for instance, here, if we look, we have 0 here and 30 degrees west here. Well, what if I wanted to point to this spot here in the middle, right? If this is 0 and this is 30, this line right here would be the 15-degree line. And then somewhere between 15 and 30, I would have to estimate what that point would be here. So there's a little bit of estimating that you have to do, unless you have a map of the world which has every single line marked. But generally, most maps are not going to have that. And frankly, in this era of technology, we really don't need to rely on paper maps to do this kind of work. Instead, we can use digital tools such as Google Maps to help us find locations in the world with exactness, rather than having to worry about estimating where things might be based on some paper map that we have worked with. So, to give you an example of this, one of the projects that we're going to do very soon is to plot the locations where early hominid fossils have been found. And we can, as a sort of preparatory tool, manually try to plot these points on the map as a way of practicing. So I could say, for instance, that if I'm looking for a fossil that was found at 38 degrees east, 1 degree south, I could estimate that 1 south would probably be just below this line. And then the 30 line is this line that comes right here. So I'm probably looking for a fossil that's somewhere around here. And I could get into the nitty-gritty of trying to find exactly where that is. But in reality, I don't need to do that, because Google Maps can take care of plotting this out for me, as long as it doesn't accidentally think I'm trying to find a street, which sometimes happens. So for instance, let's take this coordinate and copy and paste it right into our map. And you can see that it's trying desperately to find a street for us. It often will try to plot these coordinates as streets in New York. So let's see if that happens here. Yes. So here we have accidentally plotted ourselves somewhere in New York City, okay, rather than where we estimated we would be when we looked at the paper map, okay? And we can tell that this has been messed up somehow, because obviously we should be in Africa somewhere based on what we saw when we were checking it before. But we can also tell because after we place the pin in the map, we can see here are our coordinates. 40 degrees by minus 73 degrees. Google does not give you the north, south, east, west, but what it does do is give you positive and negatives to represent that. So clearly we should be at 38 and 1. We are at 40 and 73. Something has gone wrong. So if we copy and paste it again and immediately hit the enter key without giving Google any time to think that maybe we're looking for some sort of street in New York, trying to be helpful, now it looks like we're somewhere much closer to where we should be. And if we add this officially to the map, we can double check that yes, we are indeed at 38.1, 38.1. Again, the minus here is to indicate that it's 1 south as opposed to 1 north. So this looks exactly like what we need. And once we have these pins in the map, we can change them, we can edit them so that they're different shapes and different colors, and we can add different layers to the map, which allows us to basically plot out any number of places that we'd like to plot out. So when we work on this project, for instance, I'm going to ask my students to take these points on the map and add them to a Google map so that they can start to analyze some of this data. But this isn't just for this project. We often in our class will make maps of just whatever area of the world that we happen to be studying at the time. And sometimes I might ask you to plot something that's not listed as a modern day place in Google Maps. Right? If I ask you to find the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, for instance, right? If you just type in Ur, you might not find that place in Google Maps. Okay, but whenever you're looking at something in Wikipedia, generally if you're looking at a place or a city or a famous site, you will get a set of coordinates here on usually in the top right corner of the article. And if you click on that, okay, you can copy and paste those coordinates directly from that spot. But you can also copy them here by clicking on this and copy paste like this. So if I go here and paste them into here, it should drop me a pin at exactly the spot that I'm looking for. Okay. And in fact, sometimes you can even see the ancient sites. So this is not called Ur nowadays, but if we zoom in on this location, you can see the ziggurat of Ur, which would probably be in the ancient city of Ur. So now we can add that to our map, and we could check the coordinates and see, okay, 30 by 46, 30 degrees by 46 degrees. Looks like it checks out. You can also click on this Google Maps icon here, and it'll open up a map and show you exactly where it is. So even if you're not creating a whole map yourself and you just want to see where this thing might be in any particular location, it will drop the point there for you, and you can double check based on the map that you're trying to create. So I recommend for our class, if you're ever working on a project or a map and you're wondering where is some location, it's very easy to find that. As long as you have access to Wikipedia and Google Maps, you should never be at a loss when you're trying to figure out where some location in the world is, because you can just simply plot it using longitude and latitude coordinates.